Bythjul.com. Däck och fälgar online direkt hem till din dörr eller närmaste verkstad. In essence, all types of transportations are meant to take you from A to B, but you can always discuss what you really need from that destination from A to B. Car manufacturers nowadays, they talk about prestige, they talk about comfort, luxury, and of course, being highly premium. And that's what customers like to hear, of course, in all types of segments. But cars are expensive nowadays. That's just what it is. It doesn't matter if you want to buy a small car. And also that a lot is getting electric. That is also a cost. And it isn't cheap, even though the cars can be a bit cheap. This is the new Dacia Jogger Hybrid, and it's got a real honesty about it. They have never claimed that they want to do something highly premium or being luxurious or any of that kind. Renault owns this company, so there's some underpinnings and there's some shared technique, of course, in this one, and it works rather well. But is it enough for a lot of people? This new Jogger, the base version, the cheapest one, costs 219,900 Swedish crowns. You get a manual gearbox, 5 seats, and the consumption is about 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers. This one is the range-topping Dacia Jogger Hybrid with that hybrid technology. It's also called the Extreme Limited Edition. It's a bit more off-roadish, and they really want to portray themselves of being a bit more adventurous with this one. As you start off, the feeling in the steering wheel, well, that feels budget, because it is very, very hard. It's like they haven't stuffed it at all. So when you feel it on top here, it's like holding a wooden stick or something. It's not comfortable. But as you rest your arms like this, well, then it's rather okay. I'm grateful for these physical buttons. They have a distinct click to them and easy to operate. I think the seats, they are really nice. They are stuffed well. They are rather spacious. And they give you this good support for both bigger bodies and for a bit tinier ones. It's a bit too much lean downwards on the base seat. So you don't have any support for underneath your knees here. To me, that doesn't matter that much, because I usually sit in a position like that because I want to have some free movement with the pedals and my legs, just the feeling that I get and that I think is better. But a lot of people want to have that support when driving for long. So maybe they're not ergonomically created to be the best. It's a bit raised, a bit more off-roadish type of looks with the plastics all around it. The rails, which you can fold in to get that pack box on top, and the design is good. I think it looks good from the front. I like the headlights, a bit aggressive, really nice with these LEDs that really connects together with that type of chain looking grille, and how it gets stretched out like almost a SUV MPV type of car. And that's the thing, it's got 7 seats, and you can reorganize the seats so it becomes like a little van. You can remove the 3rd row, you can stow and go the 2nd row, and then it becomes a real transporter. And also, by being a bit more adventurous, well, you can add on a tent to this one. So it becomes like a 5-meter long tent connected to the back when you open the trunk door. And inside you can put on a shelf when you've removed the seats, and you can have some mattresses, and 2 people can sleep in it. And you also get some shades for the window, so it gets tinted and dark and a bit more cozy. It's not 4-wheel drive, so it's not that very adventurous if you want to be real crazy on the off-road path. But this extra height makes it a bit more flexible in that area. And you also got something called extended grip. Works with the ESP and gradually recalibrates the momentum, and that works rather good. The rear looks rather cool to this car. It is like a SUV MPV type of car. The rear lights, they look a bit like the Volvo XC40 lights. And together with this green color, it looks a bit more special. But the price for this one is a bit more, 336,900 Swedish crowns. So that becomes a bit more compared to the base version. And the consumption, 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Is it worth it? Well, I might think it is, because buying a used car or buying a brand new car, and for what you really get, the essentials are here. It is a bit, noisy when you reach a bit higher speeds, and the steering is not that very alive, but it is a car that really does the job for that a bit larger family and that price-conscious family. So, it's not about showing off, but do you really need to show off? You need some practical car, and this is one, and a good one. So this hybrid technology, it is a bit advanced because there is one electric motor that sits on this clutchless gearbox. It hasn't got the most charm of gearboxes, but it works rather good. It is smooth. And then it's the extra battery on 1.2 kilowatt hours that is being recharged when you brake and when you get it into regen. 80% can be run on in town if you're very, very light on your foot. But it's not a sprinter. 0 to 100 in 11.2 seconds and a top speed of 167 kilometers an hour. And I think it's also for that person that just want to engage in their sports or activities, because folding all that seats down, you will get 1,819 liters. So you will get a lot of space for, your fishing stuff, maybe your sporting goods or anything else. This 140 horsepower engine, it's just plenty enough for this car. It feels rather light on its feet. When you do a kickdown, picks up its little speed, but of course it's not a sports car in any way. But I think that the steering is rather light as you get up to pace. But when you drive slower, it feels like it has some strange weight to it in some certain angles. But when driving like this, it's just okay. It's very, very light. That lightness also comes with, a lack of connectivity to the front wheels. It is rather vague. It feels like it takes some time for the car to react. So if you want to be hard, well, you can criticize that, but what are you looking for here really? Well, it's budget car that fills your needs of stuffing a lot of people in the car. If you have a bigger family and you need the practicality, and this is really, really practical when moving out all of these seats, flexing them like a stow and go, or if you want to get out on the adventures that Dacia has really gone into of being a bit more adventurous, starting off with the Duster, and now this Jogger, even though it's only front wheel drive, it's got this extended grip in this extreme model that makes it grip a little better when the surface is a little slippier. Putting it into B and the regeneration becomes a bit stronger. Not as strong as in the Clio. That was a lot more tendency towards that, one pedal drive, even though it wasn't one pedal drive. It regenerated a lot better. But this one, well, you can see at the charge rate here that it works. And this is the thing again with the hybrid car, that 1.2 kilowatt hour battery. It's a small one, so you really need to be light on your foot, on the throttle, to maintain that electric drive. But the whole thing about the car is that you are supposed to drive calmly. And when you drive calm, well, then you get a bit better expected consumption. You can feel that there are some vibrations and that the chassis is, well, not the most sophisticated. And that sound and those clonks and stuff, well, they get transferred into the cockpit a little easier because it's not that well isolated. Even though I think it's relatively good when driving along, I don't mind it that much. But I like when you drive around, you have these large windows all around. So it's a light cabin, even though you haven't got any sunroof or anything. How it feels to turn around? Well, steering circle is rather okay. Very easy. And I like when you need to turn around quickly. And these gearboxes, they come into play very well. Just push it forward, backward quickly, and you're on your way in the other direction. I like that simplicity. In here it's rather spacious. I like the seats. You can feel that when you open the door. And yeah, it's very clunky. That feels rather budget. And what do you got? Well, it's very clearly displayed, everything. Physical buttons here. a rather hard steering wheel. They could have stuffed that a bit better, but they made it a bit more cozy with this fabric here with some white dots in it. I think it looks somewhat cheeky. The seats, they are soft and good. You can move about in them, but they still keep you a little in place. Armrest, cup holders here, and this gearbox, which you can get into B to get some regeneration to that battery. And looking at the cluster in front of you here, you got some of that graphics from Renault, which looks just, classic. But you can't change that much here. You can see some of your consumption. You can see how the battery works and the motor works, and what type of charge it is, how much fuel you got to the right, and the battery to the left. And just the information that you need is displayed clearly. Heated seats, eco, very clearly displayed, and simple buttons that are just good. The ventilation outlets, looks like that chain in the front. And then you got this MMI system. Rather simple, but when you connect your phone to it, I think it immediately just pops into it, so that's good. You can also put in Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That works a little better because the navigation in this one, it's a bit dated and it's not that quick. It's not like in the Renault Clio, which is a bit sharper and faster and not much nicer screen in that one. But this is what you get, and here we are again. Do you need that much more than this from that so important A to B destination? I really don't think so. Not for the price, and not for the flexibility, and not for the space. It is very roomy. It is almost like a bigger transporter car, and I really like that. But you got phone, you got car, you can go into driving echo and see what type of rates you got when you're driving, so that becomes a bit more of a motivational factor when you drive around, because you want to be motivated by driving it a bit more economical. So being light on your foot, look what type of stars you get from 0 to 100. That is always fun, especially in hybrid cars. The dials for the climate control and all this, very logic. You push it, you turn it, and you get more heat, more fan speed, just like that. USB. A little storage here, good storage here, a deep pocket in that armrest. And also, I like that they have got real deep glove compartments. And the steering wheel is adjusted in height and in depth. That's good. A holder for your phone, and I like that. Not just picking your phone up all the time. And you got an USB here, so you might need to plug that in. A lot more safe to have it in front of you. And the gearbox, well, it's not the most charming gearbox, and how it works, it is like a CVT gearbox, so it gets stressed, it bumps up in revs from time to time, and it's not a very isolated cabin. There is a lot of noise coming into it, but that's a little what you expect. You also expect it to be a bit plastic, this scratchy plastic here. But the touches with the fabric and stuff here just lifts the experience a bit, and it feels a little cheeky in its simple way. Back seat. Oh, you sit rather high in this car. It feels like this base is really, really lifted. But, stretch out your feet. That feels good. Just need to put that headrest up here. Plenty of space to the roof. And what you got here, a little tray. That's really good. Sitting, eating something, having your laptop or some phone, it becomes a little rest by having some stuff here. But you are not provided with any more luxuries back here apart from the electric windows. And a little outlet here to put in an extender to charge. You got ISOFIX all around here. Sit 3 here, individual seats, that is good. But let's try out the third row. It's a little difficult to get in here because you can't fold that seat. So you need to climb over that seat. And then I need to fold it back. I hope you can see me here. But you know what? This is not that bad, actually. So 175 centimeters. That's my length. And still you got the space here. I'm just folding them down now to have a look here. You can open this one to get some air back in here. And that is not very common in a car of this kind. with a third row. That's a plus. Cup holder and a little storage here. Oh, really good. It doesn't feel that claustrophobic because it is rather good space back here. The volume is good, and that light roof also makes the environment in here a bit more light. 0 to 100 in 11.2 seconds. And a top speed of 167 kilometers an hour. Push it a bit. That gearbox shifts very calmly. Let's see what the brakes. Yeah, brakes, they are all right. You know, everything is very predictable in this car. Let's see if we can get up this track with this extended grip. So it's a snowy upward track. Let's see if we got that, because you can't turn off the traction. Well, this is a pretty steep hill. And it goes up. It feels like the momentum works really well without slipping too much. That was rather impressive, that extended grip. I don't think a lot of other cars would do it that easily. That was really impressive. And maybe that's a perfect level and a balance of not having that four-wheel drive, because you don't go to that four-wheel drive extent that much when you have a four-wheel driven car. Because sometimes it can feel a bit ridiculous when you want to go and be adventurous with a car that hasn't got four-wheel drive. But with that extended grip, well, that's a plus. You always reflect over the purchase that you do. What does this fulfill and what does this give you? Do you want a bit more premium? Well, then it's not the car for you. But if you're budget conscious and still want to get out on your adventures, and you do your holidays with your family and with some more people, and if you do some activities then you need to transport a lot of stuff that are bigger, well, then it's just a perfect car for that need. You don't put your time and effort and mind into what type of car you have, and it's not your main priority, then this is just a perfect car. So as you raise the topic of having a Dacia, people might think that, well, and that is so unfair. And I think that Dacia has reclaimed it a lot, because when you show someone what you get for that price compared to other cars, because you need to compare it, then they will be surprised. Because I mean, look at it, you get a lot of space, you get what you need, you can show them the practicalities, you can show them what the essentials of a car is. And that, do you really need any more gadgets? No, you really don't. Or you will get bored by these gadgets. So it's just a marketing plot, all of these things that just feed us. We need so much nowadays, and I like that honesty with a car brand that just makes something more cheap and that has the confidence of showing you that this is what you need. You need the space, you need 7 seats, you need the flexibility. If you want to be adventurous, buy that tent, add it on, buy that little bed structure that you can put on so you can sleep in it. And then it's like, that's more thrilling than having some gadgets that shows you the G meters or makes some sounds as you drive along, or you know, anything in between. This becomes more of the real deal. But everyone aren't the same, and I don't know how many people would like to do that, you know, sleep in the car, get the shades around and have that tent extended to the back. But there are some that want to do that, and showing that extra, well, that's just something totally different. So Dacia has niched themselves of becoming a bit more unpretentious, but still providing you with the stuff that you need and not the extras. And I think they should keep it that way, because simplicity makes you a bit more calm. It's not like, what am I missing in a high-tech car? This way you can get that as an extra option, and this and that. It's almost like you get stressed out. But in this one, you got what you got. We're going out on an adventure, and that's about it. Different approach. And I like that they don't struggle to become even more premium. This is base premium. That really works, and that feels fine. And yeah, for sure, feels plastic. The steering wheel is hard. You know, you can feel that it's a bit more simple than even a Clio that might feel a little simple. That has attitude to it, and that's what Dacia strives for. To be budget conscious, get what you need, but still know that, you know, this simplicity well, that becomes premium in its own segment, if you know what I mean.